Sheared garments are all the rage right now. It's like hot item right now. So hello YouTube friends and welcome to another sewing projects for beginner. On today's video, I will be showing you how I made that tube top right behind me using only one piece of fabric and no pattern needed. This is a no pattern sewing project. I am going to show you how to easily make a sheared top without using an elastic thread. So this is super easy, no pattern needed. We are only going to use one panel of fabric for this top right here. So yeah, I am super excited to share it with you guys. I'm also going to show you how to measure your body to get the proper measurement for the top. Anyway, before we get started, be in the know, subscribe, and hit the notifications so you will get notified whenever I post a new one. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I'll be using this leftover vintage fabric that I purchased at the flea market when we used to live in Texas. So I really like this, and luckily I have plenty. So you are just going to simply measure that. So oh, that is that. So that is 31, and you're just going to multiply it by 1.5. So 31 times 1.5, and that is the width of your fabric for the bodice. And then you are going to measure, so from here, so how wide do you want your sheared fabric? So it's going to be, to me, I think it's going to be, maybe I will do 12 inches. 31 times 1.5 is 46.5. So that is the width of the bodice. Guys, I just have my pin box. So this is like a Kate Spade. This is a Kate Spade watch box that I reuse to hold my pins. Now it looks so adorable. Some people has bouquet in a box. I do have pins in a box. Okay, so it's going to be a lot of fabric. I'm just going to cut it on the floor and I will come back to you. After I cut out the fabric, it should look something like this. And instead of 12 inches that I mentioned earlier, I cut out 13 inches to compensate for the hemlines on the top and bottom of the panel. This is the selvage area, and look, it's super nice and neat, and I don't have to hem this side here, so that is really nice. So that's that. If you don't have a selvage area, you are going to hem that as well by double folding it, just rolling it. Now that this fabric is ready, I am super excited to start sewing the shearing project. I will be using about 1/4 of an inch wide elastic. Put it on the very top. So this is going to be the neckline, and I'm going to stretch as I sew, and I will be using a zigzag stitch. This DIY shearing project, I am actually going to do a different design. So instead of shearing every 1/2 inch, we'll do one on the neckline and then waistline to get a different design. This time I actually saw a top like this on Zizan, and I really love it. So I thought I am going to show you how to easily create that sheer design. Simply measure the neckline down to under my bust area, and that is about 7 inches. So the measurement will vary according to your size, obviously. From that line that I mark right at the center of the fabric, I am going to mark 2 inches. Originally, I was going to do 3 rows of sheer stitch, but I changed my mind just because I want this top to have a peplum design. If you want the top to be longer, you are just going to add length. So I did 12 inches. So if you are a tall person or you want it a long top, you are just going to add more to that 12 inches that I said earlier. So now I am going to start shearing. As you can see, this process is so easy. I'm just going to pull the elastic, or I'm going to stretch the elastic as I sew. Stretching the elastic as I could, just because I want the top to be snug, so it's going to be fitted, and I don't want any gaping on the neckline, just because I want it to be secure. You are still watching, I want to say thank you for supporting my channel, you guys. We reached 89,000 subscribers the other day, and I'm so excited about it. It seems like my hard work is paying off, and yes, I'm just so happy about that. As you know, my sewing projects are not viral. I am no Colorpa or any popular sewing blogger here on YouTube. It takes me months to get 1,000 views. So I am just thankful that viewers like you still like to watch my tutorials. I really appreciate that. And yes, I just want to say thank you guys. You are awesome. Let's go back to the sewing tutorial. I am now going to trim off the elastic, and by the way, I don't measure the elastic. Just place it on the wrong side of the fabric and then start shearing, and then once I reach the end of the fabric, I just simply trim it off. So that's how I do it. I don't measure. So if you ask me how long the elastic should be, my rule of thumb is the elastic is going to be half the length of your panel. I don't cut the elastic prior to shearing, just because I don't want to run out of elastic, and that's going to be a lot of hard work to seam rip everything. So it's much better to give your project some extra elastic so you don't have to keep on redoing things. Now I am going to shear the bust area. It's gonna give this top an empire waist, which is super nice and very flattering. Empire waist garments, dresses, or top is very flattering. It looks very regal and very goddess-like. Absolutely love this shearing technique. It is pull-through. This is so easy. By the way, you guys, elastic threads and elastic are two different elastic. So this is a legit how to shear stitch without an elastic thread. After I am done shearing, it should look something like this. As you can see, it looks super pretty already, and it is very stretchy. I just have to press it so it will look so professional and neat. The back look like this. As you can see, it is very neat. I also already pressed the fabric, that's why it lays flatter now. Now it's time to join the seam. I'm simply just going to sew it close. Then I tried it on, and it needs to be adjusted. So I'm going to take in about 2 inches from here. That's why it is very important to try on the garment so you can adjust it accordingly. Oh my goodness, I absolutely love this tube top. It looks super chic, a perfect summer staple. Watch out for the second part of this tutorial, where I am going to show you how to add sleeves on the top so I can actually wear it. Yay! So that's it, you guys, and I hope you like this sewing projects for beginner. I told you it is super easy. This shearing tutorial is so easy to do, perfect for beginner. Traditional way is so difficult and frustrating, and this one is super easy. It's foolproof, and you are gonna get beautiful result each time. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye. Hello YouTube friends, and welcome back to Sew Aldo. On today's sewing projects for beginner, I am going to show you how to easily make this top that I am wearing today. I absolutely love this top. I actually just finished it like 10 minutes ago. So I am super excited how it turned out. As you can see, the sleeves are absolutely darling. Sheared top right now are all the rage. It is a hot style at the moment, so that's why I decided to make my own, and it's actually very easy. So in this tutorial I am going to show you how I made the sheared top and the sheared sleeve. So if you want to see how, keep on watching. Before we get started, if you love fashion related videos such as sewing, style, shopping, and DIY, be in the know by subscribing and hit the notifications so you will get notified whenever I post a new one. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. We'll be using this leftover vintage fabric that I purchased at the flea market when we used to live in Texas. So I really like this, and luckily I have plenty. So you are just going to simply measure that. So oh, that is sad. So that is 31, and you're just going to multiply it by 1.5. So 31 times 1.5, and that is the width of your fabric for the bodice. Figure out the length of the top. I place it like above my bra line, and then I'm just going to measure down. Totally up to you how long you want it to be, but for me it is 12 inches plus 1 inch for seam allowance. 31 times 1.5 is 46.5. So that is the width of the bodice. Okay, so it's going to be a lot of fabric. I'm just going to cut it on the floor and I will come back to you. After I cut out the fabric, it should look something like this. And instead of 12 inches that I mentioned earlier, I cut out 13 inches to compensate for the hemlines on the top and bottom of the panel. This is the selvage area, and look, it's super nice and neat, and I don't have to hem this side here, so that is really nice. So that's that. If you don't have a selvage area, you are going to hem that as well by double folding it, just rolling it. Now that this fabric is ready, I am super excited to start sewing the shearing project. I will be using about 1/4 of an inch wide elastic. I'll put it on the very top. So this is going to be the neckline, and I'm going to stretch as I sew, and I will be using a zigzag stitch. This DIY shearing project, I am actually going to do a different design. So instead of shearing every 1/2 inch, we'll do one on the neckline and then waistline to get a different design. This time I actually saw a top like this on Zizan, and I really love it. So I thought I am going to show you how to easily create that sheer design. Simply measure the neckline down to under my bust area, and that is about 7 inches. So the measurement will vary according to your size, obviously. From that line that I mark right at the center of the fabric, I am going to mark 2 inches. Originally, I was going to do 3 rows of sheer stitch, but I changed my mind just because I want this top to have a peplum design. If you want the top to be longer, you are just going to add length. So I did 12 inches. So if you are a tall person or you want it a long top, you are just going to add more to that 12 inches that I said earlier. Last stitch. So now I am going to start shearing. As you can see, this process is so easy. I'm just going to pull the elastic, or I'm going to stretch the elastic as I sew. Stretching the elastic as I could just because I want the top to be snug, so it's going to be fitted, and I don't want any gaping on the neckline just because I want it to be secure. You are still watching, I want to say thank you for supporting my channel, you guys. We reached 89,000 subscribers the other day, and I'm so excited about it. It seems like my hard work is paying off, and yes, I'm just so happy about that. You know, my sewing projects are not viral. I am no Colorpa or any popular sewing blogger here on YouTube. It take me months to get 1,000 views. So I am just thankful that viewers like you still like to watch my tutorials. I really appreciate that. And yes, I just want to say thank you guys. You are awesome. Let's go back to the sewing tutorial. I am now going to trim off the elastic, and by the way, I don't measure the elastic. Just place it on the wrong side of the fabric and then start shearing, and then once I reach the end of the fabric, I just simply trim it off. So that's how I do it. I don't measure. So if you ask me how long the elastic should be, my rule of thumb is the elastic is going to be half the length of your panel. I don't cut the elastic prior to shearing just because I don't want to run out of elastic, and that's going to be a lot of hard work to seam rip everything. So it's much better to give your project some extra elastic so you don't have to keep on redoing things. Now I am going to shear the bust area. It's gonna give this top an empire waist, which is super nice and very flattering. Empire waist garments, dresses, or top is very flattering. It looks very regal and very goddess like. I absolutely love this shearing technique. It is pull-through. This is so easy. By the way, you guys, elastic threads and elastic are two different elastic. So this is a legit how to shear stitch without an elastic thread. After I am done shearing, it should look something like this. As you can see, it looks super pretty already, and it is very stretchy. I just have to press it so it will look so professional and neat. The back look like this. As you can see, it is very neat. I also already pressed the fabric, that's why it lays flatter now. Now it's time to join the seam. I'm simply just going to sew it close. Then I tried it on and it needs to be adjusted. So I'm going to take in about 2 inches from here. That's why it is very important to try on the garment so you can adjust it accordingly. And here I am using a sleeve pattern that I traced from a shirt. You can easily do that. I have shown how to do that on a separate video, or you can click the info card up here. I will place the pattern on fold. After this, I am going to hem the sleeves because it will be difficult to hem it once the fabric is already sheared. I'm going to mark where I want the sheared stitch. So I basically just place it 2 inches above the hemline. You can be creative on this one. You can add as many shear stitch that you like. You can also Google on sleeves that has sheer details, so that is something that you can do. I saw a sleeve from Shein that has 3 rows of sheared stitching and it's absolutely beautiful. So it's totally up to you, whatever you like. So for this project, I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm just going to add 1 sheared stitching. And here I'm just hemming the sleeve because it will be difficult if I don't hem it first hand. As usual, I'm going to leave about 1/2 inch tail so I can easily grab the elastic. Here I am showing you how much elastic you will need. So it's basically half the width of your fabric. As you can see here, if I stretch it, it's gonna give me half of the elastic. And I'm going to start shearing. As you can see here, I am stretching the elastic as I sew. Always backstitch so the threads will not come undone. After that, I am going to join the inseams. If you are still watching this shearing tutorial, I absolutely appreciate you guys and thanks so much for staying with me throughout the tutorial. Make sure to try it on first because you want it comfortable. You don't want to cut the circulation on your arms. Now it's time to add sleeves on this tube top. Now it's time to cut out the armholes. So from here, I am going to measure in 3 inches. And on the side seam, I'm also going to measure 3 inches down. And then I am going to cut it into a curve to form an arm side or armhole or half of the armhole. Because it is gathered, I am actually stretching so I can get the exact 3 inches that I needed. Here I use some pins to mark where I'm going to start cutting just because the print is super busy. I couldn't see the pencil mark that I did earlier. Oh my goodness, cutting this gave me anxiety. I was thinking this better work. And it did. I am going to match the half of the armholes and right sides of the fabrics are facing each other, and as you can see here, I am not stretching the pleats. I am pinning it pleated on the sleeve. And then I'm just going to carefully sew it, making sure that I'm only sewing 2 layers of fabrics and I am not stretching the pleats as I sew. After this, I am going to try it on just to make sure that it fits properly. This top can also be an off-the-shoulder top if that is your style. Now it's time to shear stitch the shoulder of the blouse. So I'm just going to place it on the edge of the shoulder and then I am going to zigzag stitch it. Same shearing hack that I had been doing in my channel. Like always, I leave about 1/2 inch tail so I can easily grab on to the elastic, and then I am going to stretch the elastic as I sew or as I shear. After this, I serge all the raw edges just to make everything nice and professional. And then I will fold it under and I will do a top stitch. I'm also going to stretch the elastic as I sew. I really love how it turned out. I think it is super cute. I feel like I'm best dressed today. But it looks super chic and effortless. I feel like this outfit is very elegant and very classy. Even though this is a little crop top, I feel like it's still age appropriate and very put together. So that's it, you guys. As I told you, it is super easy and I absolutely love the result. It is super cute. The sleeves are like my favorite. It adds a bohemian chic to this outfit. I absolutely love it. I'm going to kneel like this so you can see it is actually crop top, but I actually like it just because it kind of complements my short torso. I am petite and I have a shorter torso, so high-waisted and high-waisted and crop is going to suit my body. The sheer detail along here gives this top a very romantic feel, and this is so nice. I love that little ruffle there. It's so nice. I love shearing, by the way. I had been shearing like crazy. So yeah, but that's okay because I love the result. So that's it for today, and I hope you learned something new today. I hope you are inspired. If you learned something new today, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and be in the know by subscribing to my channel. I post new videos every week. Hit the notifications so you will get notified whenever I post a new one. I will see you next time. Bye! Hello YouTube friends, and welcome to Sew Aldo. On today's sewing projects for beginners, I am going to show you how to successfully do a shearing stitch. So if you want to see how, keep on watching. I had made so many sheared top and dresses without using an elastic threads. On those video, I just use a regular elastic. On today's tutorial, we are actually going to use an elastic thread. This is going to be so easy for beginners and you are going to thank me. I'm going to show you the secret. I actually figure out the magic sauce for this shearing technique, and it's going to give you a good result every time. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I will do is wind up the bobbin. So I am just doing it manually just because if you do it on the sewing machine, it will stretch the elastic threads and it's not going to give you a good result. So I am just going to wrap it around and I am not stretching it like I mentioned earlier. So I'm just going to neatly wrap it, and then once it is to the top like a normal thread would, I am going to stop and I'm going to leave about 5 inches tail. After that, I am going to put it in the bobbin case. So I am just going to load it. It's actually a little tricky just because it wants to move around. So if you need something to help you so the thread or the elastic thread can get in the groove, you can do that like I did here. I use a seam ripper to kind of push it in the groove. And then instead of loading the thread all the way to the groove here, I am just going to leave the tail out. So I'm not going to put it in this little thingy here. Now I turn on my sewing machine and then I am going to pick up the thread or the bobbin thread. So just like you would do on a normal thread. So I'm just going to turn the wheel and then I am going to pick up the elastic. I also use a seam ripper to help me pull that out. Now we are almost ready. Ended up changing the blue thread because I will be using a red fabric, but it's pretty much the same process. Going to increase the stitch length. Will vary depending on the type of fabric you are using, and also it depends on your sewing machine, so be sure to test that out prior. I found this presser foot that I bought long time ago. I actually didn't know what it was for, but now I found out it's actually a gathering foot or a shearing foot. So it is super easy to install. First, you are going to remove the presser foot that's already on the sewing machine. I have this little screwdriver here. As you can see, it pops right out, and there is a tutorial. I actually watched Sewing Parts Guru on how to do this. So if you want to watch that video, I am going to try to link it below or in the description box below. And I'm very careful when doing it just because my sewing machine is on. I suggest please turn off your sewing machine, okay? Just going to align it properly, and then I am going to tighten up the screw. Then I will turn the needle up and down just to make sure that it will fit in the hole of the foot. And here I am testing it on this black fabric. As you can see, this one is super light and it gathers really easily. So I'm just going to do a couple of rows. I can see that the gathers are very tight and the stitch length was 4.6. The reason why is this is a lightweight fabric, so I set it on 4.6. And now I am going to be using just a regular presser foot and see if it gathers really easily as well, so we can compare which one is better, the shearing foot or just a regular foot. I use the same stitch settings, which is 4.6. I use the regular foot on this one, and I can see that the gathers are not as tight as this one here. All in all, I think you can use just a regular foot if you don't want to spend an extra few dollars for the other foot. I think just the regular presser foot will do good as well. I'm actually going to use that for my next sewing project. I am going to use it on the actual sewing project that I am working on, and I changed the settings to 5 just because the fabric is a little thicker than the black ones that I used earlier. You can see here I am not cutting off the elastic. I am just going to lift up the needle and then move it to the line that I plan on sewing. So I am going to stitch it 1 centimeter apart. So I basically just lift up the presser foot and then move the needle on the farthest left and then continue on sewing. Don't forget to check the bobbin from time to time that you are not running out of elastic thread. If you run out already, don't forget to knot the end of the elastic so it doesn't unravel. And then you are just going to start where you left off. Of course, you are going to load the bobbin again, just like we did earlier. Ended up doing 17 rows of shearing stitch, and I load up the bobbin 3 times. So that's just for reference. And this is the final product. I absolutely love how it turned out, and it is a successful sewing project today. I am super happy. Now I am going to tell you what the magic sauce is. For you to have a successful shearing project, you actually have to use the proper or the right elastic thread. The elastic thread that I use is 1 millimeter round. I bought it off of Amazon for a good price. And by the way, this is not a sponsored video, but I'm going to leave the link to the exact elastic thread that I used today. It actually came in two, one white and one black. Okay, so just in case you want to remove a few rows of your project, you can just easily do it by seam ripping the actual thread and then pulling out the elastic thread. I ended up doing this just because my daughter didn't want a blouse. She wanted something different. So I had to rethink my plan. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope this is helpful to you. Be in the know by subscribing to Sew Aldo and hit the notifications so you will get notified. Hello YouTube friends! Welcome to Sew Aldo. On today's sewing projects for beginners, I am going to transform this men's shirt into a paper bag waistline skirt. So if you want to see how, keep on watching. first thing I will do is deconstruct the shirt. First, I am going to cut out the sleeves. I will set them aside and I am going to use them for the front pockets. And then I am going to fold the shirt in half and I'm going to cut out about 16 inches wide rectangle fabric. I had mentioned earlier that this skirt is going to have a paper bag style waistline that I am super excited about. My goodness, you guys, I don't know about you, but it feels like first day of fall already. I don't even know when is the first day of fall. But anyway, it feels like fall. The weather is becoming cool and we are so excited about it. Anyway, to all of my new YouTube friends, thanks so much for subscribing to my channel. I appreciate all of you new subscribers and old subscribers. Thanks so much to all of my Filipino viewers in the Philippines and in India as well. Hello guys. I hope you all are doing well. After that, I am going to seam rip the half of the pocket here. I am also going to cut off the plackets. I won't be needing them anymore, but I will save those buttons. And then I am going to hem the waistline of the skirt by double rolling them. I'm going to sew a straight stitch from here all the way to the other end, and do not forget to backstitch so the threads will not unravel. And this is my favorite part. I am actually going to shear the waistline of the skirt, so I am going to wind the bobbin with the elastic thread. If you want a detailed tutorial on how to shear fabric using elastic thread, I have a tutorial for that already, so if you want to watch that, if you want some more information, I'm going to have the link up here on the info card or in the description box below, as well as the end screen. After putting the elastic in this little thingy here, I am just going to put it to the side. And then I'm just going to turn the wheel to pick up the bobbin thread or the elastic thread. It's basically the same thing like you would do on a normal thread. Now that the sewing machine is loaded, it's time to start shearing. And then I set the stitch settings to 5, that is the longest stitch length. And then I am going to start shearing away. I'm planning on doing 5 rows of sheared stitch, and it's going to be 1 centimeter apart from each other. Once I reach the end of the fabric, I am simply going to pivot the fabric and then continue on sewing, following the 1 centimeter seam allowance or distance that I told you earlier. If you run out of elastic thread, you are simply going to obviously cut it off, and then you are going to knot it so it doesn't unravel. And then you are going to load up the bobbin again, just like what we did earlier, and then continue where you left off. You can see here I am not sewing on the ruffles. I am trying to kind of stretch the fabric a little bit as I sew, just because you don't want to sew over a wrinkled fabric. Hey guys, for you to have a successful shearing using elastic thread, you actually have to use the correct elastic threads, like the right thickness. So the one that I am using here is about 1 millimeter thick. Couple of years ago, I actually attempted to do shearing stitch, but the thread that I was using was very thick, so it doesn't even fit in the grooves in my sewing machine when I am trying to put it in the bobbin case. Anyway, now that I am happy with the waistline, I am now going to make some pockets for the skirt. So basically, I just measured 6 by 6 square, and then I'm going to hem all the raw edges. Made a matching face mask. If you want to learn how to make your own face mask, I am going to have the link in the description box below or at the end screen. I am just going to place the pockets on the front of the skirt, and then I am going to top stitch them. So happy with the way the paper bag waistline turned out. I thought it is super cute. Now all what's left to do is close the back seam and then finish the hem lines, and the skirt is done. This is the final transformations. I absolutely love the way it looks. It looks super cute. Also really love those pockets. I think they are very useful. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you like this men's shirt transformation that is perfect for beginners. Hit subscribe and be notified. I will see you next time. Bye! Hello YouTube friends and welcome to Sew Aldo. So today I am going to show you how I am going to upcycle some of my old clothes. Instead of donating them at the thrift store, I decided to give them an update so I can wear them again. So as you can see, I actually already finished the projects. It's already right here. But before we get started, be in the know, subscribe, and be notified. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. These are the two dresses that I am going to be updating today. So this one was purchased like 2 years ago, and I actually really like it just because it is white dress with black polka dots. I really like it. I actually like the v-neck. The reason why I don't really reach for this dress is because it's a high and low hem, and high and low hem doesn't complement my petite size. So my plan for today is turning it into a top instead and doing something along the sleeve because this has a flutter sleeves. So I'm going to update that. And then the next one is the dress that I made I think a month ago. Oh, I made this late July. And whenever I wear this dress, I always roll it above my elbow. So I thought there is no reason for me to keep it as a long sleeve just because I always roll it up. So what I'm going to do is basically trim the sleeves, and then I'm going to do shearing on the hem. So it will give me that cute sheared sleeves effect that I really like. And yes, so that is my plan for today. I have a tutorial on how I made this dress. I'm going to have that link in the description box below. I'm going to work on this dress first just because I already thread my sewing machine in red so it is good to go. I'm gonna do 14 inches, that's including the 1/2 inch seam allowance. Going to mark it to cut off 3 inches. So I'm just going to measure it from here, and then just like that. So that's 3 inches. Just because the sleeve is so narrow, I am going to fold it 1/4 inch like this and then sew it all the way around. Then fold it one more time to hide the raw edges and sew it all the way around. I am just sewing on top of the stitch that I made earlier. Don't forget to backstitch, and I will repeat the same step on the other sleeve. After I hem the sleeves, I am going to be shearing it to achieve a puff sleeve look, or like a lantern sleeves look. Manually wind the bobbin using an elastic thread, and I'm simply going to drop it in the bobbin case. I am just going to simply put it in the grooves. So I'm just going to thread the bobbin just like a normal thread, but instead of putting it on this last end, I am just going to put it to the side. And then I will turn the needle so I can pick up the bobbin thread. I will use a seam ripper so I can easily pull out the elastic thread. I already have a tutorial on how to successfully do shearing stitch, so if you want to go ahead and watch that video, I'm going to have the link up here in the info card or at the end screen. Then I adjusted my stitch length to 4.6. It will vary depending on your sewing machine, so make sure that you test it out. I'm going to shear stitch. I am sewing on the right side of the fabric, and it is about 1/2 inch away from the hemline. You can do 2 rows of shear stitch. It will give you a nice design, but I decided to do just one. Once you reach where you started, you are obviously going to trim the elastic, but make sure that you pull it out, because if you trim it right away, it will bounce back and you will lose it and you will have to rethread the bobbin. Here I tried it on just to make sure that the elastic is not super tight, and then once I'm satisfied, I can easily adjust it and then tie a knot so it will not unravel. Repeat the same process on the other sleeve. The next one is this dress. So I already finished the red dress right behind me, and I like the results. So now I am going to actually put on the dress so I can mark where I want to. Going to mark it right there, and I'm just going to trim it all the way around, and I'm going to do something with the sleeve. I'm going to shear it as well. After I figure out how long I want the top to be, I am going to measure from the waistline down. So I use the pin as my marker, and it is about 6 inches from the waistline. I will add about 1/2 inch hem allowance when I cut it out later. By the way, you guys, I hope you are enjoying this beginner-friendly sew with me sewing projects. I absolutely love DIYing my old clothes cute again, so I hope you are inspired. This is almost like a DIY thrift flip sewing project. The only difference is I did not spend any money. And then I will cut it off one layer at a time. This dress is a faux wrap dress after all. At the end of the video, I will show you how to style this cute top. All I have to do is basically just fold it and hem it all the way around. After I finish hemming the blouse, I am going to shear the sleeve. It's pretty much the same way that I did earlier. Going to be shearing it 1 inch away from the hemline. And this is what it looks like. Now I am going to try it on to adjust the tightness of the elastic, and then I am going to knot it so it will not unravel. And then I will repeat the same step on the other sleeve. So you guys, while I am filming, look what showed up. I'm going to style these using these outfits that are on the rack. So let's go ahead and style it. For the first outfit is a classic black and white combination. I absolutely love this outfit. I made the skirt a long time ago. It was a thrifted transformation. Decided to use this white shoulder bag from Nine West. I actually just recently purchased it from TJ Maxx. I like how this top turned out. It looks super chic and classy. Peplum tops are actually very nice because it will hide any unnecessary bump that you don't want to show. For example, you want to hide your tummy. Peplum top is a great way to do that. Absolutely love this outfit. I can throw on a blazer and it will totally elevate this outfit to a whole new level. The next outfit is probably one of my favorite thrifted transformation sewing projects. It is super easy and I just love the final result. I love mixed prints. It makes me look skinny and tall, which I can appreciate. I'm sure you probably already seen this dress in so many of my awkward fashion videos. But of course, you can't blame me for that. This dress is absolutely beautiful. Wearing white accessories elevated this beautiful dress outfit. Anyway, I really enjoyed DIYing my old clothes cute again. So that's it, you guys, and I hope you like this simple upcycling idea. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and be in the know, subscribe and be notified so you won't miss out whenever I post a new video. I will see you next time. Bye! Hello YouTube friends and welcome to Sew Aldo. On today's sewing projects for beginner, I am going to show you how to make this LoveShackFancy inspired dress. So if you want to see how, keep on watching. First thing we need to do is get the measurement. So I'm going to measure my bust just like this and then multiply it by 2, and that is how much fabric you will need. If your hips are wider, simply measure it like this and you will multiply it by 2, and that is how much fabric you will need. For me, my body is pretty straight, so I'm just going to use my bust measurement. For the neckline, I'm simply going to place the measuring tape like above my bra line, and then I'm going to measure it down. So the length of the dress or top that you want to do is totally up to you. So I decided to do 33 inches. Now that I have my measurements ready, I am simply going to cut out the fabric. So it's very easy. I am simply just going to cut a rectangular fabric that is the width of my bust, then multiply it by 2. So my desired length, which is 33, I will add 10 inches long strip of fabric for the ruffled hem later on, so it's going to make it longer. Full detail is totally optional. After I cut out the fabric, I am simply going to cut out half of the armhole or arm side. So it's going to be 3.5 inches on the top and then 3 inches in on the side seam. By the way, you guys, thanks so much for supporting my channel. I really appreciate all of you who watches my videos and my fashion videos. I want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And then I am going to use this piece that I cut out as my template for the other armhole or arm side. Now it's time to cut out the sleeves. So I measured 19 inches long, and this is approximately 25 inches wide of fabric, and I'm cutting two pieces. So the reason why it's so big is because I want to achieve a voluminous sleeves that is like so fluffy and romantic. So yeah. By the way, I got this fabric off of eBay. I think I got it like at the beginning of lockdown. So that was around March when all the fabric stores and arts and craft stores are closed. So I ended up buying it on eBay. As you can see, the print is unusual for my choice because I usually go for floral prints, but I kind of settled on this fabric because I was like panic buying because I ran out of fabrics and I was just desperate to get a fabric on hand just in case I need to sew something. As it turns out, I didn't need to do panic buying of fabric because obviously it's August now and I just used this fabric. So, oh well. So here I am going to use the same template that I use for the bodice or for the dress panels as my template for the arm side of the sleeves as well. So yeah, I just tested out and it actually worked with some minor adjustment at the end. After that, I am going to hem the front neckline and back neckline of the dress. So I'm simply going to fold it twice and then sew it from here all the way to the other end. Measured my bust area starting from the neckline. I traced or I measured down 9 inches, and that is going to be the sheared part. So I will be doing 23 centimeters and I'm going to mark it, so I'm going to have 23 lines to trace so I can follow that when I am shearing the fabric. That is much easier. I suggest you do this so your sheared stitch are straight. It is time consuming, but it is worth it. I will repeat the same step on the back panel as well. I have a full tutorial on how to successfully attempt a sheared sewing project. It's very easy. You're just going to drop it in the bobbin, are going to treat it like a regular bobbin thread, but instead of going all the way, simply going to thread it through one, two, not the third one, okay? And then you're going to put the thread on the side and you are going to lift up the needle so you can pick up the bobbin or the elastic thread. Now I am going to start shearing. Yay! I love it. I am super excited that I finally figure out how to shear stitch properly. I mentioned earlier I have a full tutorial on how to successfully do a sheared stitch. So if you want to watch that, I am going to have the link up here or in the description box below. If you notice, I am not cutting off the elastic. I simply pivot the fabric and then start over once I reach the end. Once you run out of elastic thread, you are simply going to tie a knot so it doesn't unravel, and you are just going to start where you left off. So this sewing project is super easy for beginners just because there is no pattern needed. So this is a nice project if you are learning how to sew a dress or a top. You won't have to go through all that pattern drafting. This is super easy. You only need 4 pieces of materials, so 2 panels for the dress and 2 panels for the sleeves. I would say that shearing is very time consuming just because you are sewing back and forth and back and forth. So it took me hours to do this, by the way. I had to load the bobbin 4 times. You can just imagine how time consuming is that. After I finish the front and back panels, it's time to match the side seams. So I'm just going to pin it and then sew it from here all the way down to the hemline. Carefully sew the side seams, especially where the thick elastic threads are. Sometimes it can get caught underneath, so you just have to pull the fabric. It's time to work on the sleeve. I simply fold the hemline about 1 inch and then I'm going to fold it one more time. The reason why is the fabric is so lightweight and I want the hem to be stable and not super flimsy. Then I am going to shear it so it will have that ruffly effect that I really like. You can do 2 rows, but I decided to do just one. Either way, it will look good and frilly. To make it tighter, I simply just pull the elastic thread and gather it a little bit, and then I measured my arm just so I can see if it's the right tightness. You don't want it too tight and you don't want it too loose because you want it to be able to grab onto your arm so it will stay poofy and frilly. And then I am going to sew the inseams. I will repeat the same steps on the other sleeve, obviously. It's time to join the sleeve on the dress. So I fold it like this, the side seam at the center, and then I put in the sleeve. Right sides of the fabrics are facing each other. So I basically match the arm side of the sleeve and the dress. By the way, if you are still watching the tutorial, thanks so much for staying with me. I appreciate you so much. And then I'm going to sew it, doing a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I'm also doing it ever so carefully just because of the thick elastic threads. I mentioned earlier that I am going to adjust the sleeves. There's actually about 2 inches extra fabric and I'm just going to simply trim that off from here all the way to the top of the shoulder. I kind of cut it on an angle instead of straight. In my opinion, having extra fabric is way better than not enough fabrics. After that, I am going to hem the shoulders by double folding it and then I am going to shear stitch it to make the shoulder snug. Decided to add ruffles on the bottom of the dress, so I cut out about 10 inches long strip of fabric. It is twice the width of the fabric or the dress. I'm going to join the side seams so I will have a long strip of fabric. Then I am going to hem it. For that, I am going to close the side seam of the ruffle so I will have a tube. After that, I am going to sew a base stitch on the top edge of the fabric. I will do 2 rows of basting stitch. so I can gather the fabric. Now I am carefully gathering the ruffles and I am matching the width of the dress. Once they are approximately the same width, I am going to pin the ruffle on the top or on the right side of the fabric. I simply match the side seam first and I'm going to pin it on top of the fabric and I'm going to top stitch it. This is a little time consuming, but I really like that little ruffle that is on the outside of the fabric. And here I am carefully sewing it and making sure that the gathers are not moving. From time to time, I will adjust the gathers because you want it to be evenly distributed so it looks nicer. After this, all what's left to do is finish the hemline and the dress is finished. I really love how this sewing project for beginners turned out. This is perfect, no sewing pattern needed. And look, the dress is so romantic and it's so flowy. I absolutely love it. I love, love, love the sleeves so much. My husband actually said I look so fancy. Oh my gosh. It's totally a Love Shack fancy inspired dress that is super easy to make and it will not break the bank. Thanks so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed this sewing project for beginner tutorial. Be in the know, subscribe to Sew Aldo. I will see you next time. Bye!